All right, it is currently about 4:30 p.m., January 4th, 2021. I just finished a clinic and about to head home. Luckily, I was able to get all my charts done during the clinic, so thankfully I'll be able to go home and not have to worry about paperwork. In terms of new developments, I guess COVID has gotten so bad that we are now once again restricting ORs. We're not allowed to schedule cases anymore until they've been approved by a central committee. It's just because there's so many COVID cases that even hospital staff are testing positive and being quarantined, and so it's not just necessarily like ICU availability, that kind of resources thing. It's just like the people needed to run the hospital are not available. So that's insane, but that just happened. So we'll see what that means for me. In terms of other stuff, I recently shot just a little home video type of thing, me and my baby, and I used the iPhone 13 mini, and it recorded in that sort of Dolby Vision HDR format, and I did what I normally do, which was airdrop it over to my iPad 8th gen here, and I did all my editing on here. And I use the Velo app. And I think I mentioned this before in a previous video, but when you do that, when you edit using Velo, you lose the HDR. And so I was looking back at the video, and I noticed that the brights weren't quite as bright. Overall, the video looks a little bit dark. And so I was like, well, I'll try editing using iMovie, I guess. I'll go back to using iMovie. So I edited the video, this Dolby Vision HDR video, on my 8th gen iPad using iMovie. And I exported it, and lo and behold, the movie was still not in HDR. And what's more, it was not even encoded in HEVC. It was encoded in H.264. I don't understand it. Well, man, this thing has got a bunch of smudges now. Let me clean that up. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm not sure why a native Apple app running on iPad, and this is this 8th gen iPad is running the same processor as my iPhone XS, and that was able to render HEVC videos. So why isn't this iPad able to render HEVC videos? That seems super weird to me. And what's more, this could well be a side effect of encoding in a less efficient codec, but the file was like 600 megabytes. So it was not in HDR. It was an H.264, and it was 600 megabytes. Whereas the file that I exported using Velo, even though it was in HDR, it's just standard definition, it was encoded in HEVC and came out to only about 200 megabytes. Anyway, I think this might be interesting for some people who have this workflow where they're shooting on their phone but want to edit on their iPads. Just be aware of that. You won't be able to make use of the sort of nice Dolby Vision HDR, and even if you use a first-party app like iMovie, you may find that it's not in HDR and it's not in HEVC, which is weird. Now, the thing to also remember is that there is an iPad 9th gen, so maybe none of these issues exist for the 9th gen iPad, but I don't have one, so I can't test it. Now, what I will say is I went and I edited that, Dolby Vision HDR video on the iPhone, this guy here, using iMovie, and it was able to render that file in HDR. So yeah, if you shoot Dolby Vision HDR on your iPhone and then you edit it on that iPhone, you will get a Dolby Vision HDR. At least using iMovie, the first party app. I don't think you will get that with Velo. As for the file size, it came out to about 600 megabytes again, which I think is okay. It's okay if it's a bigger file, right? The HEVC version was 200 megabytes on my iPad. This render on my iPhone was bigger, but at least it made sense because it's Dolby Vision HDR, right? It supposedly has more dynamic range information, so I can see why it's a bigger file, right? Not like the file on the iPad where it was not HDR, but still happened to be, 600 megabytes. But again, part of that may be the H.264 less efficient codec. Anyway, that's that. That's all I wanted to say, and I'm going to head home.